if you are the PIP Hangouts this year, the one that happened as of recent, I'm sure you would have met them there. All right, so yeah, Ms. Bisola, thank you for joining us. Would like a brief introduction. Could you please give us a brief introduction of you and your work before we get started?
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Best. So, well, as Best already said, my name is Bisola Jolaoso, and for my work, currently work at Founders Factory, which is a venture capital, and I work as a product lead there, supporting the startups in our portfolio in getting their product right and achieving product market fit. Before that, I was head of product at Abangona, which is an ag tech. So, Best, over to you.
Okay, hi. Okay, thank you. So I think we're going to start with trying to understand how you do startup valuation. Could you like throw more insight on that? Like, how do you guys carry evaluations and see? Because I think I read somewhere about Chowdeck. Chowdeck, as at now, I think they raised about $2.5 million, correct? And they're still valued at $3 million in valuation. So could you like throw insights on how that works? How do you value startups or products now? As someone who is a venture capitalist, obviously.
Yeah, throw me on the spot, Best, because that is really not part of my work. But really, I think I'll talk more around basically how we think of startups in general, right? But we work more with startups at the pre-seed rounds, basically from who are still in their idea stage, right? So we do have two different teams or processes, right? So the venture sourcing team go out to look at startups who basically already have something. Excuse me. So they deal with startups who already have something on ground, right? They have an idea that they've already started working with, but the ones at the very early stages, which is still the idea stages, they go through what we call our Genève program to come into the system, right? And so there is a lot of due diligence involved, checking. And one thing you also need to note is for VCs, there are specific things that they look for, the specific kinds of startups, specific things that they are looking for. So you find different VCs rather, looking at different types of startups and investing in them. So basically, it is focusing on your focus. What is your own area? What are you interested in? And basically, what can you support? And we have so one thing we do differently at Founders Factory is that aside investing and letting the founders figure things out. I mean, I don't know of a lot of venture capitals that have product managers on their team. Excuse me. So there's the extra support and technical support really that we then give to those startups in their quest to achieve product market fit. So there are different levels that we have, what we call the traction levers. There are the 5 different stages that they go through. That's checking the idea, the validity of the idea, up until when they get to product-led growth, retention, and all of that. But I won't like to just bore the house with a lot of information. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so apologies if I put you on the spot, okay, because I've always wanted to know about this whole valuation thing, right? For some reason, it's something I'm interested in. So yeah, I didn't quite catch how it works really. So I've been meaning to talk to a venture capitalist, and yeah, so thank you for coming through. Yeah, so that's that anyway. I think we have a couple of questions, right? We've collected and the ones we also have, you know. Then but then I would like to there's this thing that is that happens as product managers. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh when you have a product when you have a product, when you share same product with your competitor now, okay, when you have share same product with a competitor, obviously you guys
Mhm.
serve in the same markets and attend to same customers now, right? And
Yeah.
they are ahead of you to put out a feature that is quite important that helps, users now or their audience now or the audience. And you see, customers are not always loyal if you're being honest, right? If you put out the best value, they go to where they can get value, all right? So once that
Mhm.
happened now, you share a product with your competitor and for some reason they were way ahead and got or released a better feature or functionality that address the customers need now, right?
Yeah.
So how do you measure up, how do you ensure, how do you go about such feature now that has been put out by these other competitors? How do you ensure you bring it into your products and it doesn't seem like you are copying their approach and stuff? How do you go about it?
Okay. So I think the first thing is I don't believe that everything your competitor is doing that you should do. Although you guys are serving the same markets in the same space and doing basically maybe the same core thing. I like to believe that there's the value, extra value you are bringing to your customers that your competitor might not have. There is something that's kept the customers that you have there. And you also have a plan to get in more customers. That being said, there are also some things that are necessary. I mean, think of bank apps is what I know we all use, right? GTB is doing something today um, that makes sense or that seems necessary. You see maybe Access Bank doing something close as well and things like that. But the most important thing is the customers you have, your customer persona, what are their own needs? So you don't get lost in, oh, this person released this, what's it called? This new feature and they gained 5,000 extra people, right? Does that feature make sense for you or not? And what are the plans you already have? Because I'd like to believe you already have a roadmap of things that is based off of conversations that you're constantly having with your customers, your users, and basically getting their needs, right? So it is one, ensure you're staying on your lane and focusing on your focus. You're not just jumping around. Oh, this was done here. Otherwise, you find that you even start losing people to those competitors you're trying to keep up with. So if it brings value to your people, fine. This is life. Sometimes you have to copy, but copy with sense. What extra twist are you putting there? Okay, they did it first. What's the extra value that you are now giving your customer to make a change, right? So because now someone said they can now do this, it might be a very slight change that makes things better, right? You have people, whether you like it or not, you need kind of spies in your computer space. I don't mean in their company, right? You need to be able to talk to, you probably have friends or people, even you yourself, use the application. What are the things that you think they could have done better with that particular feature that they put out? And if you need to put it, or you've done your research, you found out that, oh, your users need this feature as well. So what's that extra twist that you can put on top of it? So you're not just the copycat who did the exact same thing.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Because I had to argue because I think that question usually pops up, right? That question
Yeah.
usually pops up. Yeah, and people want to know how you go about, you know, leveling with your competitor now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then sure, yeah, but you're correct, really, because if I have customers, obviously I understand their needs, and it's why they are there for me, right? So my competitors understand theirs too. So
Yeah.
to better understand them, I need to before I put out any feature, I need to understand what their need is really. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I think okay now we have I think we have a question We have a question from Abigail. Sorry, let me start. Oyinda Mola. I think this is about career. All right. Oyinda, if you're here, you could please raise your hand too. So she's asking, how does a career break affect your career? How does a career break affect your career as a whole, particularly if it's for health reasons?
Okay.
Did you get that?
Yeah. So I think it's two things. If Damola is here, I'd like to ask a few extra questions in the sense that the length of that time also matters, right? Because I imagine the way to affect someone who is off for 3 months is not the same way to affect someone who is off for 1 year. But putting it in the general space, I won't gaslight you and tell you that it is not going to affect your career. Unfortunately, we are in a space it's where it's filled with sharks, right? People are not necessarily very empathetic. The question is, what? But the most important thing is, okay, while you're on your break, okay, you have set for health reasons. So I imagine even that has a whole range of things. Is it the kind of health reason where, oh, while you're off, you're still able to keep up with things in this space, do a few things here and there that matter? You're keeping up with the trends. So not like, oh, you went away and then today someone is talking to you about the newest trend in your space and you don't even know anything about it because you expected to just come back with the same brain you left with 6 months ago. The truth is, life always evolves, and even not just tech, right? So imagine how much tech evolves per day. The thing that was valuable to your users maybe 6 months ago that there are changes to their needs now. So you have to always be, so if you do have a break, unfortunately, there's extra things for you to prove. Apart from the fact that our industry is very saturated and even getting new jobs is not the easiest thing, right? Then with someone who has a break, there's an extra thing there that you need to prove that, oh, even though I was off, I'm still abreast of all of the things happening in the industry. I can still talk like, oh, I was still working in this space last week. So the truth is, you might have some organizations that are that would probably ignore and say, oh, what was this person doing 3 years ago? I bet this one is out. They won't even give you the chance. But you'd also have those ones that'll give you the chance to sell yourself and show to them that, oh, I was out of the workspace, but I was never really out of the industry. So that's the most important thing you need to be able to prove to the potential employers that you're still very involved with what's happening and you're still aware. And probably even know some things better than someone who has been so busy with their current job that even they were not keeping up with the trend. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. I think I agree with the fact that if you are taking a career break, you should also stay in touch, be in the
Mm-hmm.
industry and understand what's going on there. So when you come back, it's not like you've lost touch entirely. So yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Anyways, for people that are just joining, this is the group mentorship session. All right. Thank you for joining in. If you have questions, all right, we have Bisola in the building. So if you have questions, please raise your hand, okay, or leave a comment. Ask your questions in the comments. We're going to take them. All right. So that is for those that are joining. So thank you for coming in. I think we have another question, right? Okay, Onyedika, go on, please. Good evening, Onyedika.
Hi, good evening. So, hi Bisola, thanks for joining. Um, I want to ask a follow-up question on the initial VC question, if that's fine. Um, question, the question is
Best
generally around um, what I don't know how best to put it, but I would say what traits or what are those unique characteristics that you see in companies that have been through Founders Factory that have actually
Mhm.
moved from 0 to 1, or let's say from 1 to 100, that have actually been successful in bringing ideas to life, whether it's with how the founders drive hype or momentum within the startup, how they
Mhm.
sell to customers, how the team is structured, any unique insights around that space.
Okay. So I think one key thing that stood out for me is the hunger of the founder, right? in the sense that you'd sometimes find people with basically the same idea, right? But they're not moving at the same momentum because this person is hungrier. This person is hungrier. Excuse me, guys. One founder is hungrier than the other, doing the work, getting out on the field, understanding, oh, what do my users need? How best can I solve these particular problems? What are those things? What extra value can I put in there? But you'd also have a founder that has the same idea, they're executing, but they're just moving along. They're not as passionate as the other founder. Oh, they have the technical expertise, but there's just that extra thing that the passion and the hunger of that founder brings to the table. So there is that. And then the other thing is the flexibility as well of the team, in the sense that whether you like it or not, I mean, I don't expect you to come to a VC with an idea without thinking it through. But you also need to be open to changes in the sense that, oh, this is what I know, right? But we are finding out that maybe your knowledge is not full enough. There are extra things that you've not thought about that basically other, like a bigger picture that people are seeing. So think of the fact that as a VC, I've worked with 10 fintechs. So I've seen different dimensions in different areas and how they probably depend on each other and how they affect each other, regulations and all of these things. But you as a founder, you're looking at maybe one problem and that's where you're focused on. So, which is why it's good to have a team that can basically expand your mind. Oh, look at things this way. This particular way you're probably looking at it might not work in the long run. Adjust it. This is more scalable and things like that. Basically open to feedback and learning with new ideas, data, and all of that. So yeah, I think for me, those are the two really big things.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I suppose that answers the question, Onyedika, Mr. Onyedika, yeah?
Yes, it does.
All right, all right. So, yeah, Toby, go on. Good evening.
Hi, so
Hi,
thank you very
Toby.
much for your question, for your answers so far. I think that there have been a lot of questions in line with Founders Factory so far this evening. So I want to ask a question in line with that as well. So for you as a product manager at Founders Factory, right?
Yeah.
What are the ideas that you take in from founders? That's number one. And how do founders get into Founders Factory? Number two. Then my third question is that as a product manager in a space where you are managing different products in different sectors, how do you manage your development process in such a way that you can contribute actively to all of those products? So yeah,
Okay.
3 questions. Yes.
So I think I need you to retake your first question. I'm not sure I fully understood what you meant by. No, I think I haven't forgotten the wording.
How you value ideas that come in, basically, and how those ideas come in from founders.
Okay. So I think when I started earlier, I mentioned the different ways founders get in. So my team is not necessarily at the front gate welcoming them in. So there's certain processes that I've gone through. As I said, each VC has certain things that they look out for that would probably already even knock some people out of the game at the beginning. Like say, for example, if a VC is saying, oh, we are not looking at founders who are building businesses that are asset heavy, for example, if you bring that kind of business or idea to them from the onset, because they know that that's not a place that they want to play in, not because your idea is bad, that's just not, it just doesn't fit with their business, right? So you're probably knocked off at the beginning based on that. But assume you then get in. So there are certain things that, I mean, from experience over time, that the team has found, that's the team that does the sourcing or the initial evaluation of these startups, right? So there are certain things that they experienced and learned over time that they're also looking out for. So imagine you're coming into a call with the founder coming to sell his idea, and basically, even you as a person who is supposed to invest in them is not sold because one, they do not, it's almost like they don't know what they're talking about. They don't have the right things in place. They've not done their research or stuff like that, right? So you basically, they go through all of that process to evaluate not just the idea, but the founders as well. Because as I said, you know that this there's some qualities of founders that would help them in the long run. The idea might not even be the best at that point, but you know that this founder is hungry enough. They'll find the thing, they'll be able to penetrate the market. They are going up and down and actually doing the work and not just sitting down and calling themselves, oh, I'm the founder or the CEO of this thing. And basically, I have a team that understands this, even they themselves do not understand, right? So all of those processes happens. Then there's also the due diligence to understand how much work has this person put in, and what they have told us, is it as they say it is, right? Like now, you've told me, oh, I have 5,000 users already using my MVP. Okay, point me in the direction of some of your users, right? Let me talk to them. How do they really feel? As the dream you have sold to me, is that how it really is in the market, or you're just dreaming dreams? So there are all of those checks that happen before they even get to my team at all, right? So when they then get in, they've passed this process. So you have asked, as the product lead, how do I manage different startups? So to be clear, as a product lead in Founders Factory, I'm not necessarily managing it's a little different from what you're doing in companies that have their own products, right? I'm not managing development processes directly. So I'm working with these founders to, it's more like a consultant to founders and their businesses. Some of them already have PMs, some don't. So we find business startups at various levels when they come in. Some of them don't have PMs, but maybe the founders are already thinking like PMs, and at that point, they don't necessarily need to. Because as I said, we are investing in startups at early stages, right? So at that point, maybe they cannot afford to put any of the money into paying a PM, but there's someone on their team who doesn't hold that title, but is thinking right and doing the job. So as a product leader at the FFA, it is ensuring that they're thinking right along their journey to product market fit. They're thinking about the right things. They're doing the right processes, and things are not just falling through the cracks because this person, oh, I'm a new founder. I don't really know much about the product process and the product management and development processes. So we're guiding them across the way. Sometimes you're actually doing the PM job for those startups, right? But not to the extent of necessarily managing their developers. There was a third question, Toby, I can't remember.
You've actually answered the third question. The third question was to get out the first one on how founders and getting to
Okay.
Founders Factory.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Toby. Thank you for the question, and Bisola, thank you once again. So, guys, if you have questions, please leave a comment, okay, or raise your hand. We're going to call you out. So, that are just joining, this is DMS group mentorship session from people in products, okay. So I just want to point out something you mentioned, Bisola, right? You talked about founders not knowing or understanding research, now market research. All right. So I want to ask, what kind of research what type of research would you like recommend founders do or product managers, do to better understand their users?
Okay. So new founders, I think the first thing is, whatever market you're going into, right? Before you got there, there was something your potential users were doing. So it might not necessarily be tech, right? So think of, for example, you want to build a pay small kind of tech, right? And you're going into a market where that is new. Nobody's currently doing that. So you don't have competitors to go and be checking, oh, what are their users doing, or direct competitors. But your users are those people that are currently buying the thing and coughing up the money, saving up the money at once. So those are the people you are talking to. So the first thing you need to do is understand, one, what is that problem that you want to solve? Does it even exist? Or is it just something that you are facing? Oh, for example, because I think for many people, the things that wake them up is a problem that they experience personally, right? And because you've experienced it personally does not mean that, oh, a huge population of the world or of your country or continent or wherever you want to play is having that same problem. So first, it's actually validating that that problem actually exists. And what are people currently doing? How much are they coughing out to solve that problem, or how much are they losing because they have that problem? And then start thinking through, once you validated the problem you want to solve, okay, what are the solution you are coming up with as well? Excuse me. You have to now start thinking through, oh, is this something people will pay for, right? So that could come as, for some people, is, oh, you have a quick prototype that you're testing with certain people and you're asking the right questions with the right people. But most importantly, at the beginning, first understand this problem that I have. Who are my potential users? You can't just say, oh, Africa is the market. We're in Africa, right? Are you thinking of the young and the old? Even if you're thinking of the young, is it the entire 18 to 40, or is it just 18 to 25? And from those 18 to 25, are there other things that drills down who your actual users are? So your user persona is very, very important before you ask that, because that's the only way you know the people that you're going to ask questions and then testing things with. So I think at the beginning, those are some of the most important tests that you have. Then along the way, of course, as you're putting out prototypes, you need to test, because there's one thing we always say: everything you're doing is an experiment, right? So because you put it out today, it might work or not. So if it's not working, then you go back again, go through the cycle to check, oh, where did we get it wrong? What could be the right answer? Or is this problem, or did we even get the problem wrong in the first place, right? So all those, just keep testing and checking with your users per time. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you answered it right. Checking with your users, always checking with your users to see where they are at and understand their preference. Because how I
Yeah.
understand it is, how I understand it, or how I used to tell my students, is the best way to understand what your customer wants or their needs is to see them go through that problem. So, and that can only come when you speak to them or see them use a product or try out, collect their experience and stuff like. So it gives you insight on how to refine. But yeah, you
Yeah.
buttressed that really well. Thank you very much. So I think so do we have questions? Do we have any hands raised? If you have questions, please you could raise your hand. And so back in the chat, I think we have a question from Abigail. So this is about, I think this is about career or something too. So she's asking, does certification matter when looking out for jobs or internships? That's one. And second one is, what are best ways to get internships? Do you randomly apply or how?
Okay. So for your first question, does certification matter? For me, I'd say no. I don't have any product management certification. I've done courses, right? I mean, before I jumped into the space, I've done courses to basically understand the whole process. And there's a difference between course and certification. So when you're talking certification, I'm thinking of a CPM and all of those things, right? And you might find, which I think is rare, I don't know a lot of job descriptions that I've seen for product managers that I'm seeing, oh, a CPM is required or anything. There are certain roles, of course, where certifications matter, but I don't think product management is one of them. And for the second question, what are the best ways to get internships, and do you randomly apply or how? So one, I think the best and the easiest way, which is how I got into product management, is if you're working in a company that already has a product management unit, look for how you can transition. That's the easiest way, right? But if you don't have that luxury, you're working in some other industry that product management currently does not concern your company at the moment. So you're looking at things outside. One, community matters in the sense that, so you're talking to people all the time, you're learning from people, these same people, say for example, now I know Toby, I can tell Toby, oh, Toby, I'm looking for a job as an intern, right? And Toby can, so whenever Toby sees something, and because Toby knows me from this community, he can say, oh, yes, Bisola, see this job, apply here. Or he's talking to some other product manager that he knows, and he's saying, oh, we are looking for interns in our office, right? So we can refer you and say, oh, I know Abigail, right? But outside of that, applying, yes, that works. But I think also look for places where you can possibly volunteer as well. So you're not just necessarily waiting, because whether we like it or not, a lot of jobs who tell you to come and do internships, they're not looking for someone they're teaching from scratch, right? So internships are not necessarily internships when you think about them in the Nigerian space. They are maybe you have a little bit of experience and then they can teach you a lot more and then you get better. Unfortunately, that's where we find ourselves. So if you can find places to volunteer while you're applying, that's great. I know a lot of people also, there's also the build while you wait part of it. Then there is basically learning the job in the sense that, so now you're doing like different things like product tear down. So you're looking at, for example, oh, this app that I use all the time, understanding why they think of this way, why are they doing this and not that. In that time, basically just keep getting your mind ready, start thinking like a product manager of a company that already exists, so that by the time you find yourself and you find an opportunity to talk to the people that are probably going to offer you this job, you are not talking like a blank slate. You understand a lot of things, you've experienced certain things, and you've seen. And obviously, as part of the community as well, get used to talk to people who are already actually product managers, right? So you're learning from them, asking them questions and stuff like that. So that way, basically, just don't get into any of those internships feeling like a blank slate. You have a better chance.
All right, thank you. So, for Bamidele, I'm going to come to your question. All right, I think we have a follow-up question to this now, Bisola.
Yeah.
Good. My Edu, sorry, could you please unmute and like elaborate on this follow-up question? Okay. You said, but there is an eventuality of volunteering, and you are the only thing closest to a PM in there. How do you learn further?
Oh, I understand what the person is saying.
Okay.
So it is more or less, or as in trying to volunteer, you find yourself, so there's no senior PM that you're learning from. You're the actual only PM there. So yes, even though you're a learner in the space that you're at, excuse me, as I said, I don't expect that as you're volunteering as well, you don't know anything about product management. You've learned a lot of things. It might be theory that you've never applied, right? Which is why when the community, as I said, is also important. So the times when you get to stumbling blocks, you have the questions channel in the PIP community Slack, where you can go and ask people, oh, how do you do this? What template do you have for this? What is the process Or how can you think about this? Obviously, you can't bring the specifics of the company that you're working with there, because I mean, you don't want to put all of their business out there and then someone is eyeing all the things you've put in and saying, oh, this thing that Epoyong is trying to do must be very nice. Shouldn't I think about it? Can I do it better? As much as you want to learn, you don't also want to put your company's business all out there for anybody to see, steal, or whatever with it. So yes, I think there are many companies where what you are doing, you find yourself, unfortunately, as the only PM. But I don't think you should just write yourself off. I expect that before you got there, you've done paid or free courses, you've learned about what the whole product management journey is. You also have a community to back you up and help you when you have blockers, ask questions, and people are always very responsive there, as far as I know. So you're also learning as you go, but you're growing along with the company. Before you know it, oh, when you think of your journey from when you started to whatever day you're looking at, you pat yourself in the back that I've actually grown, I'm better, I'm thinking of things better in this way and stuff like that. And then maybe you're in a company where you can actually grow and be better, or you bounce out of there, find better opportunities and keep moving and keep growing. Hope that answers your
All
question.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Suppose that answers the question. Thank you very much. So I think a few things I picked from this is one, learning as you go. Two, which is also taking courses. All right. Two is joining the community and asking questions. Right. Joining the community, like you said, you're obviously not going to put out the company's business out there, but you're going to get insight on how to navigate your problems and stuff. So yeah, that's one. That's another thing. Then I think also learning on the job in the sense that you take tax, all right, or attend to customers and stuff like that would also brighten you up. So I think these are the things I picked from your response. Thank you. Thank you. So back to Bamidele's question here. Okay, this person is asking, was the first day experience like for a junior PM who just resumes a new job? And how do you advise the daily taxes planned? I don't know if you got that.
Yes, I did. Well, the truth is, I think a junior PM is different in different organizations. There are, if you are keeping the book, there are some organizations where, even though your title is junior PM, you are basically working at the same pace as a senior PM, right? There are organizations where, oh, as a junior PM, these are different things that you're allowed to do, in quotes, or that are assigned to you to do. But so for your first day experience, I think first thing you need to understand is what kind of organization have you found yourself, and what are the expectations of you as a junior PM in that organization. So if it is, oh, you are doing all the things that the senior PM has to do, in whatever organization, you need to even talk to the existing PMs, because I would like to believe any organization that names you a junior PM has a senior PM, right? So you're talking to the senior PM, apart from, oh, what is my job? It is what is your job, right? So you understand the full extent of the process, the head of products that you have, understand everything end to end that the product team is involved in. The ones that concern you as a junior PM or not, you need to understand the whole process. Because as a junior PM, eventually, where you start creating value is reaching above your space, right? You're not just saying, oh, I'm a junior PM, I'm only managing Jira and asking the engineers alpha, right? And then you just stop there. What are those other things that people above you are doing? And I'm not saying this is what you're doing on day one. I know your question is asking about day one, but I'm just saying these are the things that you need to think about. And from your first day, you need to start understanding and planning how you need to go about them, right? So basically, day one is understand what your job description in that role is as a junior PM. And for your daily task, so as I said, it depends on what task that you are assigned as a junior PM. If you are managing engineers, I imagine that you'd have a lot of backlog refinements. You have checking with the engineers, you have your stand-ups, you have all of that that you need to contend with, right? It is ensuring that as much as, or as many meetings as you might have as a PM, you also try to shell out time for serious work to actually think. So you're not just the person who, oh, my senior PM has handed me this thing and this is what we are building. You're not putting thought into it, into how can we, is this the best route? How can we do it better? What can be done in a shorter time frame? How best can we manage other things? So basically, it's not just, oh, refining yourself to the space that they've given you. Try to push out of it in bits. That's how you also then stay in mind of the senior team. And then they can start, when it's time to think of, oh, I need something done. Basically, be the best person they can think of at any point when they need something done. Bamdele is good at this. Talk to Bamdele, reach out to Bamdele. And one other important thing that you need to do, don't say because I'm a product manager or I'm a junior PM, I only understand just the tech space, right? You need to understand one as your whole business. What are we doing as a whole business? So what are the operations guys doing? How do they get their work done? Because that also gives you better insights to plan whatever products that you're building. So tech is not just, okay, design this one, press a button here, do this one, and it has moved. What are the efficiencies that you can put in place? What are the things that people are doing? So that when you're thinking of your tech as well, you're also bringing in like extra knowledge that you brought from other teams or your different stakeholders, the ones that affect you directly or not. For example, maybe I'm thinking of a team that might be very far off from products. I can't think of any because somehow as product we get involved in everything, but basically understand every department in your organization. What do they all do there? So that when you're thinking and talking in meetings, you know what you're saying. You're thinking from context of knowledge that you've already gathered around, right? So that way you're bringing in good ideas that people would always say, oh, Bamdele thinks right. Bamdele is on the mind of everybody. You'd even find that other people come to you to ask you certain questions that ordinarily shouldn't be your business. But because they know that you know it, it also helps.
Okay,
Bamdele,
thank
does
you.
that answer your question?
Hello, Bamidele, does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, so I think this is in line with the same thing. Okay, I have this question. Um, so what do you advise about this rift between usually product managers and um and and founders now? All right, how do you like? Because I'm sure that's probably most people's reality here. People who work here, that's probably their reality now. All right, like how do you manage? Some founders are going to just skip you and go straight to the development team and do this. Now after refining or grooming backlogs now, right? And you guys start a sprint. So with your sprint backlog grows to accommodate more tasks that wasn't initially planned for. So like, how do you advise? What do you advise we do in that scenario now? Or things like, how do you manage founders now, right? How do you convince
Okay.
them? Oh, you're going to attend to this, but at a later time or in a more prioritized manner.
I think one thing first to put it out there, your founder is one of your biggest stakeholders, right? And you're probably your most passionate and stubborn one. Now, also understand that from the founder's perspective, you are telling them how to take care of their baby. So it's like, who are you or where were you when I was dreaming this dream? And who are you to come and tell me what I should be doing? Now, one thing is, it will take some time. But the first thing you need to try to do is to build trust with your founder. Let your founder understand that, oh, when Best is telling me this is the route to go, he has thought about all the necessary things, and I should give him a chance. Don't also think of your founder as an adversary, because if you are thinking of them as someone you need to fight through, you'd always go with them with your back up, ready to defend. Sometimes listen to them, you find out that even though, oh, you're not agreeing what they're saying, in some of the passionate things, to be nice, in some of the passionate things they say, they also make sense sometimes. Maybe 25% of the time they're making sense, 75% of the time you're wondering, what is this man saying? Or what's this woman saying? Right? And then when you need to also push back, show them how. Now, your founder is not just thinking about, because we product managers, sometimes we are so involved in the tech of the thing and how it affects our users that we forget that your founder is also as the additional thing of thinking about how we are making money, right? So apart from the data, oh, this is what our users need and something, add a bit of numbers to it, right? If we go this route that you have told us, we are going to be making $20,000 in 2 months, right? But based on the data that I've gathered, if we go this route instead and come back to your own, we'll make $100,000 in 2 months, and then we can come back in the next maybe 4 weeks, add your own, and then there's the extra $20,000 on the table or not, or whatever way the numbers work. So always think about all your stakeholders and how they think. So it's not just going with data and saying, oh, right now, based on research, this is what our users are needing, or users with churn, users with this one, and be telling them all of the technical jargons that we tend to use. Maybe your founder has been a product manager in his past life, or learned to be a product manager when he got into the space and understand your jargons. But you also need to know that money also matters, right? And you're actually showing them the pros and cons of this idea versus this one. And if possible, in certain places, what are the alternatives, right, to what he has told you to do? So say, for example, your founder is telling you, do this particular thing now. It is very important. And you're telling me, why don't we do this first? But in the meantime, maybe we can create a Google form that users can use to do this one or something, right? We can, whatever the alternative is, we can figure out some SMS I will send to them to pass them this information before we get to building it and things like that. What he's saying, how does it fit into your roadmap? And one very important thing, even though you are the expert in this space, you do not make your founder, you don't talk to your founder, even indirectly, and say, like, after you, what do you know? I'm the one with the knowledge. Those kinds of things will get their backs up as well, and they're not willing to listen to you. So over time, when you start building this, doing these kinds of things, you start building trust, and your founder will start talking to you with stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think founders these days know so much even, so you can't really say to them, "I'm done with the knowledge." I don't think that flies anymore, because
trust me, there are some founders that think they know too. So it's striking the balance.
Yeah, that happens too. That happens too. All right, it's already 7:59, and we have one last question here. I don't know if we're going to take this the next session. It's already 8 p.m. It's 8 p.m. already. So hello Ruth. Okay, so what would you say to this question now, Bisola? So she's asking.
Okay, I can see her question. If you've been given a proposal to become a co-founder for a startup, are there any transferable skills? Well, yes, there are transferable skills, but the most important thing is Bess, can you hear me? Because I think I stopped hearing you. Let me be sure anybody can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, that's the last
Okay.
question we're going to take now. So
Yeah. So I think first, before you accept or even think about the proposal, whatever the idea they want to bring you up on, do you believe in it? So that you'll not be the stumbling block with the blinded vision when you get into that space. Because I mean, it's not opportunities that come to our table that we pick up. And then for the transferable skills, I mean, there's a reason why people tell you you're the CEO of the products, even though we know it's a myth, right? So think of, as a product person, you do a lot of strategic thinking. You do a lot of not just technical, so you're straddling the technical and the business, right? So you also have some business insights. You're thinking of certain things. And the truth is, as co-founders, right, there are different areas everybody's supposed to play. So for example, you have the co-founder who is the CEO, the one that maybe is the COO, you have the one that is the CTO. So which of those areas have been assigned to you? If you are a product manager that has no technical background, I personally do not believe that you should agree to be a CTO because you've always worked in the tech space. Because there are also a lot of the technical things. As a CTO, you're thinking of not just how the product is built, you're thinking of the engineering space, you're thinking of the software architecture, you're thinking of a whole lot of other things that if a PM that is not technical probably has never thought of, right? But if you are going as a co-founder in any other space, so there are transferable skills like the strategy you already do, the stakeholder management, you're already good with some level of documentation, right? So maybe it's the presentation that the team has to do to investors and whatever in those areas, you're good. So think of all of the things that you do in your day-to-day that a business needs to thrive. There are a whole lot of skills that you can pick up from there, soft and hard skills. But I think that you find more of your soft skills very useful and transferable to this position.
thank you. Ruth, does that answer your question, please? Hello, Ruth, are you there? I
She
hope
has given a
that
thumbs
answers
up.
your question.
She has responded. She gave a thumbs up. Yes, it does.
Getting a response. Okay, okay, makes sense. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for coming in today. Apologies, we took extra 3 minutes, all right. So thank you, Bisola, for also coming in. Thank you for doing this. So we're going to be having Bisola on our next GMS, right? Which should be on the 28th,
21st.
on the 21st of May. Yeah, 21st of May. So whatever questions you have, like if there are things she wasn't able to, like if there are questions you didn't get to ask her today, maybe just prepare it down, all right? Or just fill up that form we have in the Slack channel, okay? So we can have the questions ready. So Bisola for your time. We appreciate this. Okay, so guys, we also have some other programs we would want you guys to attend. There's interview prep session that also holds twice a month on Tuesdays now, right? We also have the webinars twice a month on Thursdays as well. I'm sure